Sooner or later, every child ultimately asks the question, hey, where did I come from? And we as a race of people are no different. Where did we come from? How do you account for all this? How do you account for the fact that we are conscious, sentient beings, self-reflective? We're not just lumps of elements. We can move, we can talk, we can create. Where do we come from? The Bible answers that question. It does it simply. It says there's a creator. And the creator made us, and it turns out he made us in his image. That's the head of the story. We started in Genesis 1, where it just said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Just like that. And as we go through the text, we see that in 6 stages, God fashions the universe and the earth in particular, and then places us on there. And on the 7th day, he rested. But again, that's coming. Let's not try to take a scientific template and force it onto the text. Let's listen to what the text says first. It just says that God spoke and things came into existence. And the very first thing he spoke is in chapter 1, verse 3. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. Now, even the Big Bang Theory says that after that initial massive explosion, that gravity was so strong that even light didn't exist as we know it. It was kind of like a fog. And it took a little bit, not a lot, a little bit of time for light to actually come out of this primordial fog, so to speak, and be light. And it's interesting that that's where the creation account starts too. It starts with the separation of light, or the creation of light, and the separation of light from darkness. Now pay attention to that throughout the text. Let's let the text speak for itself. And what we see is that God is fashioning, he's creating borders and boundaries, and that everything he's making is good. God said, let there be light, and there was light. The Italian version goes, bada bing, bada boom, there was light. God saw that the light was good. Now he's going to repeat that throughout the chapter. When the text repeats something, it's usually worth listening to it. God saw that it was good. This wasn't junk, this was intended. It comes from his nature, it's good. And then God separated the light from the darkness. Pay attention to how much separation takes place here as God is fashioning the universe, and in particular the world. God called the light day, and he called the darkness night, and there was evening, there was morning, the first day. Now there's been a lot of discussion and argumentation over literal 24-hour day, periods, not. Don't waste time with that. Just a note, by the way, a day, last I looked, was 24 hours, and it takes that long for the earth to rotate so that the sun appears to go up and come down. Hey, by the way, the sun's not created till the 4th day. So just think about that and don't make it a big deal. We want to hear what the text actually says. And it's saying that God spoke light into existence, and he said morning and evening, day 1, or the first of these periods in which God is creating his active work. Now, don't let time throw you, by the way. I have an astrophysicist friend, and I asked him one time, how old is the universe? And he said to me, he says, well, the universe is 13.7 billion years old. And I said, well, by whose clock? And he thought about it. He says, well, we have to posit a clock outside the system to make the math work. I said, that's cheating. Now, why is that an important question? It's like almost like the game is rigged. It was Einstein and his famous fear of relatives, remember that, which showed that time is relative, and it's actually part of the created order. And so there is not a outside clock that clicks off years. So to measure 13.7 billion years by a clock that's actually in the system is a meaningless measurement, because who knows how much of it was relative or not. To make the math work, it's posited on the outside. So I wouldn't let the time periods become the issue. Just let the text speak for itself. How old is the universe? Yeah, pretty old. But where did it come from? God spoke it into existence. And it was good. So let's look at the rest of this creation and see what God is saying. It's good, and he's fashioning, separating one from another, and placing boundaries. That you can't miss. And if you miss that, you're going to miss a whole lot of the Bible, because it's all about order. It's all about God's nature. It's all about the goodness of creation. And, oh, spoiler alert, we're going to mess it up in chapter 3.